Hey my friends, so our alebrijes that we have looked at, we have drawn them. We have made our salt dough if you want to use the clay to build them. And what I'm going to do right now is show you some different options for using paper towel rolls, toilet paper rolls, some different found objects if you would like to build yours that way. Now I have hot glue gun to use because I'm going to put mine together quickly. If you're using a hot glue gun, if you have one, have help. Make sure someone helps you set it up. Make sure that you're using it correctly. We're not touching any of the part here because it gets hot, just like the name says. So I have tons of different pieces. If you're using regular liquid glue, it'll work just as well as hot glue. You're just going to have to leave things in place and give the glue a chance to dry so it turns from the liquid into the hard plastic that holds it all together. So what I want to show you are just some different options. This is not how you have to put yours together. This is just an option. So this one I've actually folded and cut out different triangle shapes so it has some texture on the body. I have cut out some different feet shapes. I'm just going to work on putting them together. This one I created spikes for the back by cutting out some triangles and pulling them down inside to create the spikes that are going to stand up. You can also create them by cutting them out and gluing them on, which are some other options. So if I'm going to start here with either one of the bodies I've already started, if I want to create some other spikes, maybe on a side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to flatten out my toilet paper roll and I'm going to cut my triangles, not all the way through. And notice I'm leaving a space there because I don't want to cut that shape out. I want it to stay connected. I'm not cutting pieces out. I'm cutting triangle shapes into it. You could go ahead and cut them out. Remember, this is something you are going to work on creating yourself. Some of my older friends are going to have much more details that they choose to add to theirs. And remember, next week we're going to work on decorating them by adding our colors and our designs and our patterns. So now if I pull these in and fold them towards the center, that's what makes the look of the spikes on the outside. And they're a little bit different on each side. And because I said it, I'm going to go ahead and make some to go on top as well. So using my toilet paper roll again, I am just going to cut some triangles to add these as my spikes. And remember, you are creating based on the creature that you decided you wanted to make. So there's not a right or wrong. You do not have to add spikes. You may decide that instead of adding them, you want to go ahead and draw your details on when we go ahead and work on that part next week. Remember, the drawn designs and details are a very important part of the alebrije. And we have looked at different ways that designs and details are added, whether they just be bright colors or some of the traditional patterns and designs with the dots and the repeated lines. We have worked on some patterns like that, and especially adding them to our drawings. So I'm just going to go on the back of this because I didn't use my liquid glue and give it time to dry. I'm using my hot glue, so I need to go on both sides to make sure there is enough that it will stand up and hold on. And now I need to give that time to cool. While I do that, I'm going to work on the legs. So for my legs, I am going to use straws. As I work with my straws, I'm just going to cut them apart and maybe get them about the same length. It's really difficult to get them the exact same length, but by holding them together, it's pretty close. Now let me attach them to my feet. Different shapes that I've cut out. Do the same thing. I'm going to add a dot and put my straw in, and add a dot and add my straw. And I'm trying to decide, do I want 2 or do I want to go ahead and add 4 legs? Go ahead and do 4 while I'm working at it, because even if I choose not to use all 4, I at least have them already put together. So when I go to add my legs and my feet to the body, I'm going to add a dot of my hot glue and hold them in place. Remember, if I'm using my liquid glue, I'm going to have to hold them in place for quite a bit longer, because instead of just getting the hot glue to cool, I need to make sure that my liquid glue is dry. So let me go ahead and do that. And this is where it becomes a little bit trickier. This is one at a time. Here we go. Let me hold this one in place as well. These are the parts that take some time as we're working on building our different sections of our alebrije. Getting our pieces together, having them stay. And it may take getting them all put together and then going back and reinforcing it, like I've talked about before, adding more glue around like I did the spikes. Ooh, that glue's more. And then my last one, I'm going to see if I can get this on so I can go ahead and maybe start working on the head. This is where having help at home is going to be a big advantage, because you will have other family and friends, brothers or sisters, who may help you hold while you're waiting on glue to dry or cool. So that's my start. I'm going to leave it right there for now. For the head, I am not going to go ahead and use my wings right now, but for my head, let's say I choose to go with my elephant head. I know that's an option that we had talked about before. So if I create my nose, I can cut another piece for my ears. Very nice, curved, large elephant ears. And my head. Now I'm just going to use what I have right now, so I'm actually going to just cut out a shape to put on front and add my details to here. So if I do this, I'm going to add my nose because my trunk, my elephant's trunk, is going to be a big part of my elephant details that I add. And as I add the trunk, I'm just curling it up. So I have my elephant trunk that I've added, and I'm going to add my ears. So I have my elephant ears on the side. So I'm going to add just my little bit of glue. I keep moving the glue out of the picture because it's closer to where I have everything plugged in. And hold that in place till that cools enough, which we saw as we were trying to add the legs and the feet. You saw I had a really difficult time, and that was still using my hot glue. Now, I'm not going to add mouth and eyes. I'm going to use that as a way to add my details when I decide to draw them in. So I'm going to add my line back here. And remember, these are your mythical creatures. Some of you have come up with all sorts of different animals that you mix together. Just because it is your drawing doesn't mean it has to be part of your sculpture. You are going to work on creating your own. So just like anything else we've worked on, if it doesn't quite come out the way you thought it would, you can always change it. So my tail, I'm going to be really, really silly, and I'm going to add some toothpicks for my tail so they spike up. At first, I had thought about adding porcupine spikes and using my toothpicks that way, but I had a really difficult time getting them to all hold together and to have them stand up the way I wanted them to, even with the hot glue. So that's these. And I'm not going to add all of them because I want you guys to be creative in how you are deciding to add your different details. So these are all different things that I found around the house. Old straws from a fast food restaurant, toilet paper rolls, paper towel rolls that I cut apart. All of these are different details. And here is my alebrije that I've created from my paper towels and all of my different sculptures. So move this back over. Yay, now I can see you. So this is one of the ways using found objects is going to work really well for creating your alebrije. I cannot wait to see what you guys come up with, and I'm really excited to see how creative you are with different materials you can find at home and different animals you choose to put together.